Drake recently dropped 3 full-length albums on the exact same night, and the entire narrative around Drake prior to dropping the albums was that he was completely finished. Because he lost the massive cultural battle with Kendrick Lamar, the public consensus was that he would never be able to achieve the same level of success he had prior to the beef.
Fight is over!
Drake beat himself up. It's like Kendrick beat him up, and then it's just like he got up and was delirious.
I think this might be the end. I don't know what Drake can drop.
But that is simply not the case. He just sold over 700,000 copies in his first week across all 3 albums and broke streaming records.
Man, we need to give Drake a big old shout out because he just made history.
He surpassed Michael Jackson for the most #1 singles by a male solo artist.
He now ties Taylor Swift for most #1 albums by a soloist, the only artist ahead of them, the Beatles.
But this begs a massive question. Why is the biggest artist in the world dropping 3 separate albums all at once? Well, doing this gets him completely out of his massive Universal Music Group contract, since he has secretly been at war with the label ever since the rap battle took place.
Drake is accusing Universal Music Group of conspiring to artificially boost Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us diss track on Spotify.
But the real question is this: does Drake actually go independent and risk total nuclear war with the label like Michael Jackson or Prince did? Or will he re-sign to the label, proving that this elaborate rollout and the historic success of these albums is just to show the executives that he is an invaluable asset that needs to be kept within the industry to keep the music machine going? In this video, we are going to examine exactly what we think Drake will do, and we are going to justify it with the cold, hard facts. Welcome to Redline Theory. To really grasp the magnitude of what happened on May 15th, 2026, we have to look at the massive illusion that the music industry successfully pulled over the eyes of the public for the last 2 years. When you look at the top tier of the global entertainment business, the stories you see in the media are almost never accidental. They are carefully built, fiercely protected, and when the label needs them to be, they are weaponized. For the 2 years leading up to this massive triple album drop, the entire world agreed on one thing: Aubrey Drake Graham was culturally decimated.
All Drake fans can do at this point is seethe and cope and sit there obediently as he shovels trash like this down their throats. Which, honestly is like the closest I have come to genuinely feeling bad for Drake fans in a minute.
Everyone from podcast hosts to industry insiders believed that he had fundamentally lost a long, humiliating battle with Kendrick Lamar.
But Kendrick never thought it would be competitive.
Yeah.
They pulling up all of Kendrick's old verses that say, I can't believe that y'all think that #2 is #1 when I'm right here. He never looked at dude like the rest of the world looked at him.
That conflict reached its absolute peak when Kendrick took over the Super Bowl halftime show and performed in front of an estimated audience of 133 million people, broadcasting the accusation-heavy anthem, Not Like Us, to the entire globe. Drake was reduced to a sore loser. He was publicly disgraced, artistically exhausted, and relegated to filing desperate defamation lawsuits against his own parent label, Universal Music Group.
Instead of accepting the loss, UMG reps say, like the unbothered rap artist he often claims to be, he has sued his own record label in a misguided attempt to salve his wounds. This is UMG saying this.
The conclusion was already written for him. He was supposed to fade away. But leading up to the release of Iceman, that entire narrative started to shift. Following a massive cryptic marketing rollout that ended with Toronto's 1,800-foot CN Tower being lit up in an ice blue projection with fireworks exploding over the city, Drake completely bypassed the traditional industry protocol.
Toronto fire crews continue to melt down that massive ice structure in the Bond Street parking lot put there by Drake. Originally constructed to tease the release of the artist's new album, it became a hazard due to some overexcited fans.
He pressed a button and executed a simultaneous triple album drop: Iceman, Maid of Honour, and Habibti. Instead of fading into obscurity, the release broke Spotify's record for the most streams in a single day by a single artist. Initial tracking projected the Iceman album to move around 500,000 units in its first week alone. He eventually sold well over 700,000 copies in just 7 days and became the first artist in history to hold the #1, #2, and #3 spots on the Billboard 200 simultaneously.
I'm prepared to come in here and apologize. I said he wasn't going to get a #1. I thought he was going to be blackballed forever and never get a #1. He got it. He beat Mike. Congrats. Good for him.
And shout out to Drake, because Drake is doing Michael Jackson numbers right now, ain't he?
Yeah, he's right now #1, 2, and 3 in the Billboard.
God
200.
But the real question is, why would the most commercially successful artist of his generation release a bloated 2.5-hour, 43-track playlist across 3 distinct projects on the exact same night?
He did crash Spotify and Apple Music.
He crashed Spotify. He broke records on Spotify, Apple Music, everything.
He was debuting with around 13.2 million streams on one day on global Spotify. What do you guys think about it? Do you feel like that's what artists gotta do now?
People assume it is just an attempt to overwhelm the Spotify algorithms through sheer volume, reclaim his crown, and surpass Michael Jackson's all-time record for #1 hits. But a deeper look at the industry reveals a much darker reality. This massive release was not about art. It was a highly calculated legal and financial exit strategy. It was a mathematical mechanism designed to completely liquidate his massive corporate debt and extract himself from a trapdoor contract with UMG.
I don't know if it's in his contract legally where he can just say, I want to drop 3 albums at my leisure. I don't know. It probably is. I'm not saying it's not. But I think he figured out the game. I think he figured out, I think they ambushed him.
Allegedly, he got out the deal. Them 3 albums was for him to get out the deal, and he got $2 billion on the table waiting for him right now.
And this reality completely reframes the entire rap beef. Kendrick Lamar did not just win a hip-hop battle. He functioned as a corporate hitman for Universal Music Group. As Drake attempted to financially leverage his way out of the corporate machine, the industry utilized Kendrick to fire a devastating warning shot. They proved, with absolute and ruthless precision, exactly how fast they could destroy Drake's public image if he actually attempted to burn the system down and go truly independent. To properly understand this concept, we have to look at this from a pattern recognition lens within the global music industry. The major label ecosystem, which is dominated by massive conglomerates like Universal, Sony, and Warner, relies on total predictability and contractual control. The system is entirely designed to extract the maximum amount of money from an artist while keeping absolute control over their intellectual property, their distribution pipelines, and their public image.
In hip-hop, we don't have any tutelage system. We don't see people pass on information. For the majority of these artists, they're still signing the same exact deal that they've watched TV shows about. Some people are still even giving away their publishing.
But when an artist gets so big that their wealth eclipses the label's control, when they transition from being a regular employee to a billionaire who can fund their own operations, that systemic leverage completely disappears. And historically, when an artist reaches this point and tries to walk out the door, the industry initiates a highly predictable sequence of destruction. The destruction pattern is simple. Destroy their public image with unproven accusations, get some of the accusers to file civil lawsuits, note that it's never criminal, flood the media with details of the accusation like it's a verdict, weaken the artist's finances through legal battles and retraction of sponsorships, taking away their ability to earn and keep the cycle going, and if this does not work, plot to kill the artist or label them unhinged and crazy.
And so Michael Jackson, they may have taken your money, they may have for a short term impacted your reputation, but there are so many of us in the world who now recognize the truth of what happened to you.
By late 2023, Drake was getting dangerously close to the end of his $500 million UMG contract. His economic leverage had grown so massive that fulfilling the remainder of the deal would leave him as a totally free agent with unparalleled industry-altering negotiating power. At this exact moment, the highly publicized dispute with Kendrick Lamar conveniently erupted. We all viewed this dispute as an organic clash of massive egos, but if you follow the money, the puppet show reveals itself. Universal Music Group, the exact conglomerate holding Drake's massive contract, is the exact same entity that controls the distribution pipelines for Kendrick Lamar's music. Therefore, the parent company profited from every single stream of the attacks, the defenses, and the cultural fallout. They literally funded and distributed the exact conflict that was dismantling their own flagship artist, which led to Drake filing that lawsuit after the battle. But to accurately predict how this ends, we have to look at the historical patterns of legacy music billionaires when they reach the limits of corporate control. When the industry's biggest creators get enough money to challenge the system, they always split into two distinct categories: the martyrs and the capitalists. The martyrs are those rare artists who choose to go to genuine, unrestricted war against the corporate machine. Their goal goes way beyond personal wealth. They want to liberate artists' rights, reclaim master recordings for everyone, and fundamentally lead new artists to not go the major label route and seek ownership and independence. But because their actions threaten the entire multi-billion-dollar industry, the system activates the destruction protocol we discussed earlier.
So I'm leaving Sony a free agent. I own half of Sony's publishing and I'm leaving them. They're very angry at me because of it. I just did good business, you know?
Look at Michael Jackson. In the 1980s, Michael shattered the power dynamics of the industry by using his unprecedented wealth to outbid corporate entities and acquire the ATV catalog, which included the publishing rights to the Beatles. This move made him a massive target. When he later attempted to separate entirely from Sony Music and expose the exploitative nature of legacy recording contracts, even publicly calling corporate executives racist, the systemic response was absolute.
Sony, Tommy Mottola. Tommy Mottola is the president of the record division. He is a meme, he's a racist, and he's very, very, very devilish.
Almost immediately, devastating legal allegations of child abuse surfaced and dominated the global news cycle. Regardless of the legal outcomes, his public reputation was permanently altered. They tied him up in perpetual litigation that drained his resources and completely neutralized his ability to reform the industry.
There have been many disgusting statements made recently concerning allegations of improper conduct on my part. These statements about me are totally false. As I have maintained from the very beginning, I am hoping for a speedy end to this horrifying experience to which I have been subjected.
Another example is Prince. During his commercial peak, Prince initiated a highly visible, incredibly aggressive campaign against Warner Brothers. Protesting the label's ownership of his masters, he appeared in public with the word slave written on his face and famously changed his name to an unpronounceable symbol just to try and get out of his contract.
And I wanted to make a change and move to a new plateau in my life, and one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it.
The industry responded with cold efficiency. They blackballed his independent distribution efforts and economically starved his rogue operations, making him a permanent example of what happens when you demand ownership over your own distribution.
Ever since my third album, I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work, I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. And they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave, I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist.
Another example is Kanye West. He engaged in a public, erratic crusade against Def Jam and Universal, posting pages of his confidential contracts on social media and demanding the liberation of all artists. The ensuing sequence of events resulted in the total dismantling of his corporate partnerships, his financial unbanking, and his immediate exile from the institutional elite.
I'm not in war with the music industry, it's time for us to innovate. And we need to have contracts that make sense with exactly how we sell music. I don't know if you saw when I posted my contract, I had 10 contracts that kept on putting me inside a labyrinth. These deals can be flipped in a way that they're just more fair.
The Martyrs fight an ideological war, and they are punished with comprehensive destruction. On the other hand, we have the capitalists. The capitalists engage in highly publicized, strategically contained pseudo-wars. They leverage the aesthetic of rebellion to cultivate fan loyalty and look like rebels, but their ultimate objective is deeply pragmatic. They solely want to secure a more lucrative position within the existing corporate framework. Look at Jay-Z. He navigated his way to the presidency of Def Jam and secured the return of his master recordings. Crucially, he did not burn the system down. He utilized institutional capital to elevate himself into the billionaire class, partnering with Live Nation and becoming a pillar of the very establishment he once fought against.
Jay-Z is respected by these people for being that boss that he is. When Jay-Z flash crossed that motherfucker, it's something with $1 billion, it's something with a 500 billion, 200 billion when them young niggas see him. It ain't his song flashing across no fucking social media. It's his hustle.
Another example is Taylor Swift. Her battle over her master recordings is celebrated as a massive triumph of artist independence, but a forensic view reveals a masterful capitalist play. She weaponized her massive fan base against her former label to devalue her original masters by re-recording them.
Starting November 2020, so next year, I can record albums 1 through 5 all over again.
But she fundamentally remains a massive corporate asset. After leaving Big Machine, she simply signed an exclusive global recording agreement with Universal Music Group. She fought viciously for her own capital, but remained fully integrated within the institutional machine.
She created another hit song from her previous material, and I expect that this is going to continue to happen as she re-records these records. Whoever is owning these songs now, they probably weren't thinking that Taylor Swift was going to beat them at this game.
So the critical question we are going to answer today is exactly which archetype Drake embodies. Is this sudden, unprecedented triple album release the opening shot of a martyr preparing for total systemic war? Or is it the calculated posturing of a capitalist forcing the label's hand at the negotiating table? To answer that question, we need to understand that if Drake were to actually achieve total free agency and pivot to true independence, the financial devastation to UMG would be catastrophic. Labels rely on a stark power law distribution where the outsized commercial success of the top 1% of their roster effectively subsidizes the developmental failures of the remaining 99%. The flagship artist functions as the central bank of the record label. If Drake leaves, the label instantaneously loses its primary mechanism for funding its broader operations.
It's like, let's relate it to basketball. No basketball team would let Michael Jordan at his height become an unrestricted free agent, right? Like, you don't let your big player ever really touch the open market. I personally said I don't think he's leaving Universal at all, but I do think that they're gonna have to overpay a bit.
This is exactly why the label allowed Kendrick Lamar to plant the industry's ultimate kill switch during their rap beef. The song Not Like Us breached all traditional hip-hop boundaries. It did not merely critique lyrical ability, it alleged systemic moral bankruptcy, heavily implying sex trafficking, grooming, and pedophilia. These are legally actionable, career-ending accusations. By facilitating the global distribution of these specific allegations, the industry sent an unmistakable message to its primary asset. The message was the warning. If you attempt to step out of line, if you attempt to leverage your capital to liberate yourself like Michael Jackson or Prince, this is the narrative we will activate to ensure your permanent destruction. As long as Drake remains compliant and renegotiates within the UMG framework, the allegations remain confined to the insulated realm of rap beef. But should he attempt a hostile exit, the institutional media apparatus is fully primed to transform those lyrical jabs into formal civil investigations, devastating documentaries, and unrecoverable public scandals. Now, with the contractual debt liquidated via the triple album release and the corporate warning firmly established in the public domain, we arrive at only one final conclusion. The undeniable evidence proves that Drake is not Michael Jackson. He has no intention of dismantling the system or sacrificing himself for a broader ideological cause. He is, in fact, more like Jay-Z, a pure capitalist. He is utilizing the cultural aesthetic of going independent purely for personal financial leverage. The proof is explicitly broadcast on the Iceman album itself. On the track B's on the Table, featuring 21 Savage, Drake completely pulls back the curtain on the ongoing closed-door corporate negotiations.
I know he's got that case with UMG, and then he said, I got a whole lot of names, whole lot of dates, and pictures of faces, save for whenever the right time and place is, right?
I did hear that.
B's on the table.
It could be a deal that he's about to sign that's, once he's fulfilled his contractual obligation with UMG, and his B's on the table with that, or it could be that, it's a crazy settlement.
The entire multi-year conflict, the frantic 3-album release, and the anti-corporate posturing have culminated exactly where the label intended, back at the negotiating table. By proving he can still shatter streaming records and move 700,000 units in a single week, even after suffering the most severe reputational attack in modern music history, he has demonstrated to UMG that he is an indestructible asset. It is highly probable that he will sign a new exclusive global recording agreement with UMG that pushes toward the $1 billion threshold. He will inevitably claim this as a massive victory over the industry that tried to destroy him, while the label will willingly absorb the astronomical cost, knowing that locking down the world's highest streaming artists guarantees their market dominance for the rest of the decade. The rebellion was successfully and mutually monetized. He is essentially a false martyr. But there is a chilling caveat to all of this. If this verdict is ultimately incorrect and Drake genuinely intends to go to nuclear war against Universal to establish a fully independent empire, he must proceed with extreme caution. If he attempts to execute a true martyr strategy, he needs to publicly announce to his fan base that he is not suicidal or insane, acknowledging the historically severe downfalls of those who challenged the financial architecture of the entertainment industry. He would have to prepare for immediate asymmetrical legal warfare. The grooming and trafficking allegations planted during the 2024 dispute would inevitably mutate overnight from streaming tracks into formal civil litigations and journalistic exposés. The corporate machine has already programmed the kill switch. It merely requires the authorization to press it. But when an individual's sole motivation is money, their soul will always ultimately reside on the negotiating table. They do not possess a mission that transcends the system or themselves. They simply possess a price. And this is why I believe that Drake is going to sign a new contract with UMG versus going the independent route and going to nuclear war with the industry. If you want to see why I believe the Kendrick versus Drake rap battle would be the last mainstream rap battle between A-list rappers in history, click on this video. This is Redline Theory. Thank you for watching.